Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Virtual Sankofa Inner City Cultural League After School Program. I am Miss Kristen, and today we're going to be doing some life skills training. Yay, Botvins! So, I want to talk to you guys. We're going to start off talking about transitions. A lot of times in life, we have to transition. That means that we have to go from one thing to another. Sometimes transitions are not um, it's not something that we want to do. It's not something that we have control over. But today we're going to talk about the transitions that you do have control over. Some big transitions could be like going from high school to college, or going from school to work to the workforce, or transitioning from a child to a teenager, or a teenager to a young adult. So when you go through transitions, let's see. So Gilbert Botvin, who actually is the person um, that has these lessons that I'm teaching you from, his definition of transition is it's the passage from one phase of life to another that involves developing new roles, responsibilities, and relationships. It can be characterized by both challenges and opportunities. So, transitions are not going to be easy all the time. Sometimes transitions will be difficult, but one way that we can make transitions a little bit easier are for us to set some goals. We can have long term goals or short term goals. So, short term goals, they can stand on their own, or you can put a bunch of short term goals together to make your long term goals. Goal setting is defined in here as it involves identifying meaningful, realistic, measurable, and manageable criteria that can be used to achieve success. So, when you go to set your goals, we want to remember four things with your goal setting. You want to remember the meaningfulness of it. Why is this important to you? So, why is your goal important to you? Second thing you want to remember is realistic. What resources are available to you? Can the goal be achieved in a reasonable amount of time? Is this goal realistic? The third thing is if it's measurable, what exactly needs to happen? When does it need to happen? How many resources will you need? And who will do what? So you can measure different things within your goal. Say you have a goal of buying a house when you get older. You're going to need to know exactly when you want to buy that house. You're going to need to know what resources you will need to buy the house. You're going to need to know about credit scores, about loan officers, about realtors. So all of these things will go into the measurable category, and then you can determine if your goals are realistic. How much does it mean to you? And the last one is manageable. What is your schedule for the steps involved? What can be done first, next, etc. So when you have goals, it's very important for you to be able to say, okay, I want this done first, this done second, so that you have an order of doing things. And that way, everything can be done in steps. You can check things off of your list, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to attain those goals. So, Brendan, give me a short term goal of yours.
A lot of people like me wish to be wealthy. Um, and right now I don't really understand what it would take, but sometimes people underestimate uh, how hard it is to even become wealthy.
Okay, so wealthy is a goal of yours. So, in becoming wealthy, we're going to look at how important is that to you? Is it very important for you to be wealthy when you get older?
Well, kinda. In the world
Okay.
today, money is a lot. It'll get you a house, apartment, food, um, basically anything.
Yeah, so you can buy a lot of things with money. So it is very meaningful for you to be wealthy. So now that we know it's meaningful for you, is it realistic? I think that it absolutely is realistic for you to become wealthy. So you have to think about the resources that are available to you. That's information or knowledge that's available to you so that you can become wealthy in whatever area you choose to go into. You're going to have to think about how measurable it is. What exactly needs to happen? When does it need to happen? What are the resources? That you can use. Who are the resources that you can use? Because you can use people as resources. So you have people in your family that are older than you have teachers, you have a bunch of people at your fingertips that can give you information on tips and ways to become healthy. So you need to use those people as your resources. And then once you think about that, then start writing these steps down. And if you start now, a bunch of little short term goals can lead you to your long term goal of being wealthy when you're older. And so it'll be a lot more manageable, a lot more realistic. You'll be able to measure it, and it's very meaningful to you. So it's very important that we get started with that. Brandon, do you want to tell me a goal of yours? You can share any goal you want. But if you want to share it, then you have to unmute yourself so that we can hear you.
I would like to be a famous basketball player.
Famous basketball player. Awesome. And how important is that to you? Is that very important or just a little tiny bit important?
Very important to me.
Okay, so it's very important to you. Is it realistic? I think all goals are realistic. So, yes, we're going to say that is a very realistic goal. So, what resources do you have available to you? How can you measure becoming a famous basketball player? What exactly needs to happen? So, one thing that you can do for a short term goal that can get you to that long term goal, reaching that long term goal of being a famous basketball player, is practice. Practice, 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 practice. All of the famous athletes will tell you that that's what they did a lot of. They practiced a lot. They made sure that they ate right. They didn't put bad things into their bodies. They didn't smoke and drink and do drugs. They made sure that they kept their bodies healthy because their bodies is what's going to fuel you and take you to the point where you can become a famous athlete. There's a lot of competition when it comes to athletics. So you have to make sure that your body and your mind is in tip top shape at all times so that you can beat out all the competition and you can be famous. Is it realistic? Absolutely, but you have to measure your goals and you have to manage your goals. You have to make sure that any resources that are available to you, you take advantage of those. If you have a playground across the street that's got a basketball hoop, maybe when it starts getting a little warmer outside, you go over to that basketball court. Okay, that's a resource that's free and it's very close to you and it's available. So that's something that can help you out reaching that long-term goal of becoming a famous basketball player. All right. Now, when you look at reaching goals, you're always going to have challenges. And there are strategies for overcoming challenges that I want to share with you guys. So, a challenge is something that somebody tell me, one of you guys tell me what a challenge is.
A cha-
You can go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
a challenge is something that you have to do to like not you have to do it, but it's something that like you could do to get somewhere in some place. So like a challenge is you could like beat something or like a goal.
You can beat something to get to a goal. I like that. Brendan, what's your idea of a challenge?
When I think of challenge, I think of yourself. I honestly think that you should overcome what you think of yourself. Like, For the most part, whatever you're doing, you could do better of, and for the most part, a lot of people believe in you. So that's what I think a challenge is, something that you can overcome in time and with a lot of practice too.
Very good. You guys got some awesome answers. Thank you so much for your input. Very good. So there are some strategies that you can use for overcoming challenges. One would be to identify resources. So if you're feeling challenged, if you're feeling like maybe your goal is not as realistic as you thought it was, if it's getting a little more difficult for you, then count on your resources. Your resources can be your support system, like your friends, your family. You have counselors at school, you have teachers, you have tutors, and these people can help you support you and help you to achieve your goal. One thing that you can also do to overcome a challenge is to keep a record of the progress that you've made. So every time you make some progress in an area, make sure you write it down. Get yourself a journal. Write down all the positive things that you've accomplished so that when you feel like, you know what, maybe I can't do this, look back at everything that you have done. Look at everything that you've been through and see how you've gotten through it and you've been able to be triumphant in that area. If something doesn't work the way that you thought it would, review it and determine how to correct it. So, this is something that we spoke about when we talked about failure and making failure a little bit more common, not to be afraid of failure because it's going to show you a different way of doing something. So, if you do something and it doesn't work, it's not saying, oh, you can't do it. It's saying, oh, let's find a different way to work this out. Another thing you can do to overcome challenges is use your mistakes as an opportunity to learn something about yourself and your goal. Again, if you fail at doing something, that is a learning lesson. That's an opportunity for you to take whatever failure that you see didn't work and try something different with it. Learn from yourself with that failure. Always keep a positive attitude and expect to succeed. You can't succeed, you probably won't succeed as often, I'll say. If you're like, I'm never going to get this done, I won't be able to do this. Because if your mind is saying that you won't be able to do it, then everything is going to fall in line with that. If you expect to succeed, it's not will I succeed, it's when will I succeed. Okay? Always keep a positive attitude and know deep down inside, no matter what anyone says, no matter what odds are against you, you can do whatever it is that you want to do in life. And the last strategy for overcoming challenges is to avoid substance use and other risky behaviors that may interfere with achieving your goals. So, if you want to become rich and wealthy, if you want to become a famous basketball star, you're using substances, you drinking a lot of alcohol and doing drugs and smoking cigarettes, that's going to keep you from your goal. If you're buying drugs and alcohol and you're spending your money on doing risky things in life, your money is not going to accumulate. You're going to be wasting your money away. You're going to be smoking your money away. You're going to be drinking your money away. Okay? If you're doing that, if you're putting that into your body, your mind's not going to be as sharp to make good business decisions. Your body's not going to be as healthy to make those three-pointer shots that you can make, Brandon. Okay? So make sure that you keep your minds healthy, your body's healthy, no substance use. Stay away from any risky behaviors. Make sure that you always keep a positive attitude within yourself. If something doesn't work out the first time, keep trying or try a different way. And make sure that you always keep track of the support system that you have because you have a lot of people around you that love you and care about you and that will help you whenever you're feeling like you're a little down. All right, Brendan, you have a question for us?
It's not really a question, but I learned that if you become a professional athlete, um, if you caught doing if you get caught doing steroids or drugs or anything, you could actually get a 5-year worldwide ban from any type of sports at all. So that'll ruin your record.
Yeah, and that's not a good reputation to have either. So that's another good reason to stay away from any type of substance use. And people think that steroids are okay because they make you perform better. It's not a real drug. It actually is a real drug. It has chemicals that alter things within your system, and it may help you to perform a little better, but it's really bad for you. and it's considered cheating. So we don't want to cheat in any way. But that's a good point, Brendan. So even steroids, any type of substances, stay away from them. If it's not prescribed by your doctor, if it's not vitamins to keep you healthy, you really don't want to put too much stuff into your body except for healthy foods, um, chocolate, in my eyes, every now and then. Chocolate has antioxidants to help you to help you stay healthy, build your immune system. Don't forget that. And occasionally you can have your junk food, other junk food. So with that being said, I'm so glad you guys joined me today. Thank you so much for all of your input, and I hope you guys learned something. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Sankofa Inner City Cultural League After School Program. I am Mr. Williams. Yesterday, if you guys were with us, Ms. Kristen talked about transitioning and basically goals. Basically, many of us have transitioned throughout our lives. We've transitioned from infancy to adolescence. Some of us have transitioned from preteen to teen. A few of us are about to transition from teens even to adulthood. Congratulations to us all. One of the things Ms. Kristen talked about yesterday was goals. And the reason I keep mentioning these things because I began to look at some of the lessons that we have talked about throughout this program. And I realized that they all kind of come together, they mesh together throughout our program. Something that we wanted when we first began, and we're getting there. So all of our lessons seem to come together, no matter where they may come from. Yesterday, Ms. Kristen referenced Botvins, who is a scientist who's done some research to say that these are some things that we need to make sure that our young people understand as they go on in their lives so as to be successful. Like I said, in some of our lessons, we have talked about things such as goals. And we've said that, yes, they must be important to you, which means they must be meaningful. Okay, and something Ms. Kristen touched on yesterday. They must be measurable. You must be able to say that I am attaining my goal because I am here within it. You have to be able to actually measure it. Okay, and the goal has to be attainable. It has to be something that you can reach. Okay, I'm never going to fly without help, without some type of propulsion. So for me to have the goal of flying without it is unrealistic. It may be the greatest thing that I ever want, and I may want it very, very much because I want to be able to get from here home faster. And I can measure, but I can't never get there. So there is no measurement to whether or not I am succeeding in my goal or not. And I mentioned goals because, again, when we talked early on in our program, we talked about budgeting. There may be a financial aspect to your goal. There may be monies that you need to have on the onset to make that goal possible. Or your goal could be to better save or invest the monies that you already have. Okay? And one of the things we learned in budgeting, there are things that you can do to set aside monies so that you can do that. We have talked about entrepreneurship. Now, many people think, no, you got to be an adult to have your own business, but you don't. When you are a business owner of yourself, there is no age in which you can start that. You may need help for things like where you can put the monies that you're going to earn, but you can have your own business where you actually have adults where you say, listen, I need this done. And if they're working with you, they will do for you. Another thing that we have talked about in the course, we talked about friendship and the proper way to communicate and the proper way to deal with our friends. We know today that it is important to celebrate our friends' accomplishment as well as they They complement ours. We know that that's important today. We know that we've learned throughout this course that we have to properly communicate both with our mouths and with our bodies, because we know that both of these communicate what we're thinking. If I'm going, well, what I'm going to talk about today is, and I'm over here, you have no confidence in what I'm saying. You don't believe that I care about what I'm saying, and I definitely don't care about you. Whereas when I speak to you, I look you in the eyes the best I can when I speak to you. Then you know at least that I care about you, and you can tell by the different inflections in my voice that I care about what I'm speaking of. Okay, so when we talk about goals and achieving them, these are things that we must remember. We have talked about perseverance. Perseverance that no matter how bad things go, no matter, we have to still get back up and keep trying, because that is the only way that we will attain our goals. Our friends can help us do that. That's why they're important. Family can help us do that, because and that's why they're important. But again, if we haven't built up some type of resilience to a bad day, that we're not going to attain our goals. And these are something else that we have talked about in this program. You guys can look at the videos from past to get more information about the different lessons that I've talked about. But I just wanted us to kind of go over some of the things that we have talked about and how they help us get to our goals. We've talked about respect. You have to respect yourself first and foremost, the most, and then you must respect what it is you're trying to do. So that's a different type of respect that we may not have discussed before. But respect is respect. You're kind and you're honest and you're fair. So if you do that, then you're being respectful. So if you do that about the goal that you're trying to achieve, then it's achievable. It's something that you can attain. Okay. We talked about integrity even. We talked about making sure that you are doing the right thing no matter what, whether you're being watched or not. So all of these things go together to ensure that we can attain our goals. Okay? We have to make sure that whatever peer pressures that we are under, that is a positive peer pressure. And basically remember, there are different types of peer pressure. There's negative peer pressure and there's positive peer pressure. Positive peer pressure is the type of peer pressure that makes you understand that you can achieve something even when you start to disbelieve that you can. Negative is like, nope, you can't do that. No way you're gonna get that done. You don't want negative peer pressure. You want positive peer pressure. You want your peers and friends to believe in you while you believe in yourself, that you can attain the goal in which you set for yourself. Okay? I am Mr. Williams. I thank you for having joined us today. Until next time, take care.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Cyber Streets at Sankofa Inner City Culture League. Last week, if you guys remember, we talked about the different states of matter, and we learned that solids keep their shape all by themselves. So the idea of passing one through the other sounds real difficult. And I remember when I was a kid, they was told us that that's not possible. But today, through a little maybe magic or science, we'll have to figure it out. Jason Latimer, a world-renowned magician, is going to show us how to pass one solid through another. Let's watch. Hang on.
Today's topic, solid through solid, and we're gonna do it with a window. And if it looks right, it's gonna look just like Magic. Welcome to Impossible Science. Hey everyone, it's Jason Latimer, world champion of magic, coming to you with another Impossible Science, the show where we take an impossible topic and we see if we can bring it to life through science. Now, what you just saw, the ping pong ball passing through the window, that's a magic trick. But it made me think there actually is a science experiment where you can pass a solid object through another solid object, and it uses depth perception, field of view, and a project known as the Ames window. So I'm going to show you how to make an Ames window, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get started. This is the Ames window, designed by Albert Ames in 1951. This optical illusion uses perspective art and field of view to trick your mind. Now you're probably wondering, wait a second, what do you mean, trick my mind? Well, take a close look at this window. Look at the window as it swings from one side to the other side and then back. Take a look at it from another perspective. It's actually rotating in 360 degrees, even if I slow it down. It still looks like it's just going to sweep back and forth. So right now I'm going to break down how do you actually make an Ames window and why does it work. The first thing you need to do is take the JPEG I provide you, and you can expand it or just move it onto a piece of foam core and cut it out. You want to trace out the lines in black because you want that contrast. You want two different shades of the same color. You want a bright one and a dark one to give you that shading. And you'll notice that since it's not a rectangle, what's going on? Well, this is perspective art. This is the idea of what it would look like on a flat drawing, of a 2D drawing, to give you a three-dimensional feel. So when I hold it up like this, it actually looks three-dimensional. Now there's a lot going on right now because with the Ames window, Albert noticed that your mind has been conditioned to actually see right angles. Kind of odd when you think about that, but think about any window you've ever seen. You've seen the bright side, the shaded side, you've seen this format, and your mind is constantly seeking out patterns, in this case, the right angle. And it's taking advantage of that with perspective art. If you've ever noticed that things get larger as they get closer, that has to do with what's known as field of view. So let me explain. Field of view has to do with how much you can see without turning or tilting your head. How big an object appears to us has to do with how much our field of view is taken up by that object. And one way to measure our field of view is by angle. Vertically, our field of view is about 150 degrees. If you look at a building from far away and you can see the entire building from top to bottom, if you calculate the angle from the line from your eye to the top of the building and the line from your eye to the bottom of the building, you will find that this angle is small compared to the 150 degrees you have available. The further the object is, the smaller this angle will be. As you move closer, the viewing angle of this building grows. Your brain interprets this larger percentage of your field of view being taken up means that this object is either larger or it must be closer. Our brain is constantly deciphering and reinforcing that a smaller viewing angle means that this object is either physically smaller or farther away. So if we draw a situation where the viewing angle is incorrect on purpose, the brain must choose what to believe. This is the basis of the Ames window. Okay, so now that we understand how to make the template and we understand the field of view and the science of it, how would you actually get it to spin? Well, there's a lot of different ways. One, if you don't happen to have a motor, the low-tech way to do this would be just tie a string from one side to the other. So once you hang it from something, just twist up the cord and then let go. And as it unwinds, it will rotate and the illusion will take place. For me, when I build stuff, I like to use the Sony Couve. It's like building blocks and engineering and coding all at the same time. See, I wanted something that I could adjust the speeds for. So I just assembled a motor with a controller. I went on the website. I actually found, I didn't even code it myself. I said, oh, there's a helicopter. I'm just gonna drag the helicopter code over, Bluetooth it to this, and I'm good to go. So if you're an educator or a maker and you just like prototyping stuff super quick, the Couve is awesome. How do we make it all come together to make a solid object pass through a solid object? Since we know that the mind thinks that this piece will be in the front at all times, we're gonna give it real dimension. See, we have fake illusion drawing perspective right now, and I'm gonna add a ruler to this. We're gonna make this ruler look like it passes through these bars. So making sure that it stands tall enough so that you can see it pass through the bars really helps this illusion. I like a ruler because it's got one side that has writing on it and the other side doesn't. And now what's that do? Well, your mind knows that, and as it flips around, it realizes that the ruler is turning. You want your mind to think that the ruler is turning, but you want your mind to also think that the window is just going back and forth. So I'm gonna place this right here, and I want you to keep an eye on the side with the numbers on it. Now let me slow it down. And even if it goes really slow, if you take a close look at it, even when it's going really slow, take a look at the side with the numbers on it, and you'll see it pass through the bars on the window. A solid object passing through another solid object. Of course, it's not really a trick. It's an optical illusion. There's no sleight of hand, there's no gimmicks. This is working because your mind is putting it together for you with our understanding of field of view and perspective. Now, I found that the larger this is, the farther you have to be away from it. So when I first drew this, it wasn't gonna work right here in my little studio because I couldn't get the camera far enough away from it. So I shrunk down the image for it to work better. And the closer you get to it, the more your eyes help you out. Your eyes are actually looking at something from two different angles. And because of that, as you get closer to something, you can actually see it from two different angles, and so you can understand depth better. But if you pull the object farther away, your eyes are now looking more along a parallel line, or at least closer to a parallel line, and because of that, you lose your depth. If you enjoy just my goofy experiments, let me know. Click the like button, share the video with your friends, and if you want to learn more about impossible becoming possible, make sure you subscribe to the channel. In either case, stay curious, because the right question changes everything.
What do you guys think of that? Brandon?
It actually gave me more. Well, I knew about magic, but I didn't know like about like this. So like now, this is like technically like magic, and I learned something that type of window you can like put like throw other stuff through it,
Mhm.
but it has to be like the same type of like made of it. Like I don't know how to say it, but like iron has been like the same of it. So yeah, I learned about that.
Was that fun though? Was that cool?
That's really fun.
All right. Brendan, are you there?
Yes.
Were you able to see the video?
Yes.
What did you think?
I thought it was pretty fun in my opinion.
Okay. If I can, would you guys like me to send you the material so you can make your own azimuth windows?
Yes.
I will check into whether or not I can, and if I can, I'll see to it that you guys get the materials that you need so you can build your own. Because basically, all you need is the foam. The rest of it is just string and how you paint it. So I'll see if I can't send that out to you. But guys, I thank you for having joined us today. I am Mr. Williams. Till next time, take care.